Let's see if this works. All right, hello. I'm Nathan Hansen. I'm a designer, and I just got today a package that is my latest game. It came out from published with Lock and Load. It is Space Infantry Federation, and I'm going to unbox my copy because this is exciting for me, and I wanted to share this. So this is my first time seeing the actual physical game. So, woo! All right. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, so this is to be a bag game. It was going to be a box game, but due to restrictions with COVID in the warehouse, they need to have less people in the warehouse, which meant they had to cut back some steps. So at least for the time being, it's been released as a bag game. So, but here it is in its glory, and all kinds of glare on the screen. Front, back. Probably should get closer so you actually read some of that, maybe. Woohoo! All right, let's get this open. So a little bit about this game, in case anybody on here doesn't know, which is likely, is basically what I would call, well, if it was the closest name I know people will be familiar with is like a State to Siege game. I believe Lock and Load have come up with a new name for it, but the mechanic itself I would call like a converging track game. Essentially, if I can get the actual thing out of here, this is a really tight bag. Okay, I guess toilet bag a little bit. Okay, counters, get all this stuff out. Yeah, it's a tight bag. Okay. So essentially, this main board has a central location, in this case Sol, Earth, and all these tracks converge there. And if the alien factions get there at the end of the turn, or the end of one of your turns, you lose. So that's the gist, core mechanic of the game. Yeah, there's a lot more to it than that, obviously, but that's the core. There also is a player aid. And there's a couple other boards that go around it. This is the resources board. So it's got a section at the top where you control technology, and then over here you have your various, well, you store your resources here. They come to you along these tracks here, and then you could spend them. And each one can be used in various ways. Over here is resources that start off locked at the beginning of the game. So yeah, kind of the gist of very high level orbital view of how that works. I'll put the counters there in a separate bag, it looks like. I'll open those up in a second. Okay. This is the politics board. This is something I'm really proud of. Basically, the way you interact with the alien factions affects how they interact with you, which is a pretty cool thing, I think. So the war effort section here, you'll notice all starting spaces here. You'll put a counter on each of those, and their current position affects which actions are actually available to the factions. So, like basically, when they're at peace, they're not really going to attack you. You know, they might still do certain like posturing stuff, but they won't actually attack you. As you gain technology yourself, you put them over here so you can, as a reminder. And this area down here is where a lot of the action actually happens, because when I get to as I'll show when I get to the counters, basically counters come out into the game, and those counters represent turns for the alien factions, and some of the turns, and then when you get your turn. So they might get a number of turns before you, or one faction might get 2 turns, but another might not get 8 turns. So it's a little bit of variation. And then as they take their turns, they get put in this holding box until you get a turn, and then they go back. So that guarantees that it doesn't snowball completely. You will guarantee to get a turn to respond to them. It won't be infinitely their turns. And then the section up here is how they feel about each other. So, and basically they have three states. They're either at war, they're at peace, they're either allied, they're at war with each other, or they're neutral. And each of those has different effects. Alliances, for example, mean that and this is actually shown on the, oops, let me grab that out again. This information is all on here as well, on this display right here. But basically when they're an alliance, they share technology, and then there's some other overflow effects if their alliance improves them further. Okay. And this middle section, that I'm backwards on my camera, I'm moving the wrong way. Anyway, essentially is another way you can lose the game. So notice there's a desire that's for expansion desire. As you're getting overcrowded, people want to expand, and as that goes up, it'll start pushing the sheer stability down because you aren't meeting the demands of your people. Likewise, if you start taking a lot of military losses, that can also start pushing down. Essentially, it's bad PR. And if your stability gets all the way to 0, you are removed from office. Either you can decide for yourself what that means. That could be violent. It could be not. It's kind of dependent on how things are going down, I think. Last little board here is an event board. So this is basically random events. Some of the chits that can come up on that track just call for a random event, and you'll go to this board to figure out what happens. Okay, got a nice little look. It's nice and thick. So I was under the impression it's going to be spiral bound, but it's not. I'm actually quite happy about that. Okay, I should probably be showing you instead of just looking myself. Give me a second to gander. Let me see if I can position the camera. Sorry, I'm using my laptop camera here, so it's not the best. So, yeah. Maybe I should turn this so you can actually read it. So I can set up. Give you a quick idea of. So, I believe I've called out every counter in the game. Yeah. It's not a terribly long rule book, but there is definitely some depth to it. I think it's 30-something pages. I think it's 36, if I remember correctly. We'll find out in a second when we get to it. It's probably 36, including the cover material. All right, now counters. Second. Okay, right there. Oh yeah, that's nice. Ooh, and they're just falling out. Okay. That's a good sign. They're not going to have any problems coming out. Okay, so here's all the counters, and I'm trying to figure out the best. Okay, I'll just hold it up. So, all these counters. So, these ones here are all resources. Each one of these can be used in at least 3 ways in the game. So there's all kinds. There's like 20-something different actions in the game that you can take, depending on what resources you're using. These are alien faction fleets. So those are the counters that actually come down the tracks towards you, and if they get to soul, you lose. All right. So these are some. Right. Hang on. Yeah. These here are technologies These are worlds you can settle. So that's the goal of the game, by the way, which I didn't say earlier, is to literally settle the worlds on the board. So the moment you actually settle the sixth base, you win. And I'll bring the board out in a second to show you where those bases are. These are just various technologies for the alien factions. These are your fleets. These are some ally fleets so you can get based on some other cool stuff you can do. And yeah, that's basically that counter sheet. This counter sheet, half the stuff fell out already, so that's, oh, I'm losing counters. That's not good. Okay, hang on. Can't lose these. Okay, so these counters are sort of a generic counter. They're any place that doesn't need specific information. So the position on the war effort track, for example, you'd use these because the only thing you need to know is what their current war effort is. But keep pulling up. These ones are the activation counters. So what they do, those are the ones that are the actual alien turns, effectively. And you'll notice they have 3 little icons in the corner. I can point to these without going backwards. They have red, yellow, or green. Basically, those are how you set the difficulty of the game. So if you're doing if you want to do an easy difficulty game, relatively easy, use any counters that have green on it, and use all counters that have green on it. If you're in a medium difficulty, you use any counters that have yellow. Hard as any counters that have red. So roughly. Let's see what else is on here. Oh, there's one other resource that's on here. So not all the resources fit on that thing. So this is one of the other resources. Let's see. There's some other technology stuff here, and these are a technology that gets unlocked basically by building a base. Oh, there's some mines. You can place these to cause combats. Essentially, mine boom, not mine ore, to cause attacks on alien ships as they move into space. There is a defense system. And at this point, I'm going into the weeds. I probably shouldn't go that far into for an unboxing. But I'm really happy with the counters, actually. They are falling out nicely. I don't really see any I don't know what the right word is. Bits of paper coming, sometimes you get counters and they'll cut badly, and these are cut very well. So yeah, I'm very happy with these. The art's very easy to see. The cut is nice. It's so nice that they're literally falling out of the tree here, but maybe a little too cut a little too well. This one they're not falling out as the first sheet they're not falling out as easily. The second sheet they're just popping right out without me wanting them to. Okay, let's see. What was I gonna explain? I said I was gonna explain something and I forgot what it was already. Oh yeah, so back on this board, all the namespaces, these are places where you can settle. So the way you win the game is you have to settle each of these 6 spaces. And basically you do that by moving a ship there and spending the right resource to convert that ship into a base. That sounds a lot simpler than it actually is because resources are sort of scarce. But yeah, that is basically what is in the box, or bag in this case, because currently it is a bag game. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get to a box game later, since they don't know, Lock and Load doesn't normally do bag games, but with the current world condition, we've sort of had to go that route. So yeah, that is what you get if you buy the game. If you're interested, go to Lock and Load Publishing's website. I probably should get the actual website. Okay, it's store.lnlpublishing.com, and then you can find it there if you're interested. So yeah, I'm excited. I hope all of you are too, or anybody who checks this out. And yay! That's it. Bye.